last night as I speak. We play Plymouth Argyle at St Mary's with a stupid 6 o'clock kickoff time. So everyone could arrive in a bad mood, those who managed to get there. Bad enough for the home fans, but a salute from me to the Argyle fans who made the trip in very big numbers. When you look at how many came down from Blackburn, for example, before Christmas. I was surprised at the sheer volume of Plymouth fans in the ground. Steve ended up being a lot more nervy than it should have been. But apart from the 10 minutes before they scored, it was probably a decent performance against the team, as their manager admitted, were just there not to get battered, really.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, we did batter them, didn't we? For the most part. First 20 minutes could easily have been 2 or 3 up. Adams narrowly offside inside the first 5 minutes. Hit the post. Keeper's made a couple of decent saves. Bodies on the line from the Plymouth defenders, and their out ball has been the counter attack, which, in fairness, they almost exploited pretty well in that first half when we basically committed too many forward a couple of times. It was noticeable actually from about half an hour up until half time that we were trying to force things. We'd obviously been frustrated by not scoring when we were playing fluidly in the first 20-25 minutes, and from 30 to 45 we were forcing it a little bit, trying to play the killer pass too soon, when kind of the whole premise of this system is patience. So if you have to play side to side between Harwood Bellis and Bednarek before the pass through the line into midfield becomes available, so be it. Do it. Don't worry about any outside noise. And in fairness, in the first half, there is no kind of outside noise from the fans when, even at 0-0 against a team that we should be beating on paper, there isn't that sort of impatient, come on, get it forward type anxiety in the stands anymore, which is good. Shows that fans are learning, and everyone's kind of on the same page now. It only kind of got, as you say, a little bit nervy in the last 5-10 minutes, really.
They kept playing the ball back to Gavin. Russell was fuming about it when he was speaking.
And understandably so. I mean, it's all well and good keeping possession and running the clock down, but actually, Plymouth were there to be got at, as we showed for the vast majority of that game. We cut through them time after time, and it was only their keeper was almost certainly their man of the match. Don't think he particularly covered himself in glory with basically his non-effort for the second goal. But other than that, Hazard was he was their best player, I thought. So yeah, the chances were created. They weren't taken. But I didn't really see why that necessitated us changing and slowing the game down and going backwards all the time in that last sort of 5 minutes of normal time plus the 8 added, because you then just invite them on, and Bazunu's taken an unusually heavy touch for him, and just hasn't quite got his feet sorted. In fairness to Hardy, he's quick on it and gets in there at the right time. And the only concern really is that the sort of 8 minutes or so after that, we looked rattled for the first time in weeks, and it was so unnecessary. Just kind of go back to what you used to, go back to what you know and what you've shown has worked. And there shouldn't be any problems. We've proven that against basically everyone we've come up against in the last 2 or 3 months. I just hope that when we go to Norwich, that is kind of out of everybody's mind and everything resets and right, okay, we're back to normal. It was noticeable actually that at full time, Bazunu was still getting his name chanted, which was good. So there was no sort of repercussions from the fan base for him, which you certainly wouldn't have seen this time last year. I think ultimately even though we absolutely battered them, we still kind of got away with that last 10 minutes or so. But yeah, fine. You move on. Take the 3. Get on with it.
Okay. Alfie, I kind of felt that we were a bit complacent at times in this game. I kind of feel like it's inevitable a little bit. If you've won or not lost for 17 games, that is a danger. Would you say that's sort of like the biggest danger we face in the home games in particular against teams that just want to sit and wait for a mistake?
Yeah, maybe obviously coming off the back of 2 really, really heavy wins as well. And like you say, 17 matches unbeaten. It's 2 off the club's longest unbeaten run in its 137-year history, which was back in 1921-22. So, it's no mean feat what they've done. I think you sort of excuse them, and I think Steve actually mentioned what I was going to say about Gavin Bazunu. Yes, he's taken a bad touch and he's panicked, but when he's go back to get his bottle and his towel full time, people are chanting his name. So I think it's sort of that level of, it's not complacency, but a mistake when that isn't punished by fans at this point. The atmosphere is really good. It is noticeable, isn't it, that the teams that come and sit back and play whatever you want to call it, a low block, 8 men behind the ball, whatever it is, they are the ones that Saints find it difficult to break down, because to Blackburn, to their credit, and to Swansea as well, they actually, both teams tried to play and ended up getting torn apart for it. And like you sort of alluded to, didn't you, that Neil Dewsnip, the interim boss at Plymouth, he'd said that he'd watched those 2 games and he decided very quickly that we weren't going to come to St Mary's and try and play. So that is a challenge that Saints face, and but they are getting over the line, aren't they? They're doing it, and we haven't even mentioned the fact, by the way, that Leeds and Ipswich both dropped points yesterday. So it's now 3 points off the top 2, something like that. 6 points clear of Leeds, along those lines.
It's been a really good sort of like period of results for that. I mean, I always go on about not worrying too much about the league table, just look after ourselves. But you can't help but be pleased when Leeds get beat. Anyway,
I think it's breathed real belief. Well, yeah, true, yeah. But it's breathed real belief in, because I tweeted about it yesterday. It's a little bit corny, cheese, whatever. But I do genuinely think that St Mary's right now the atmosphere is so good, and I think there'll always be a few, but I think the vast majority of people are very much on board with what this team is trying to do now. I think they really believe in the manager, they believe in the players. They've got players like Cour Peters who are just so exciting to watch, so much fun, and obviously we hope that he's here until the years more to come, and at least end the season, obviously. So I think that they can afford a bit of complacency now. If they have a bad result, I don't think the world's going to fall apart. They might drop 4 points, 5 points behind, but I don't think the momentum is going to stop immediately, whatever happens at Norwich, for example.
No, I mean we're obviously, well, you would think we're not going to go the rest of the season unbeaten. We are going to lose at some point, and that people have just got to react in the right way and take into account that we have had this run, and there's no reason why we sort of like can't pick it up again should we get a bad result. But back to the game, Steve. I was going to keep these two incidents separate, but I can't really. It's the disallowed goal for Plymouth and the superb goal by Charlie Alcaraz, who kind of came into the team as a rotation option because of Russell Martin decided to leave Joe Aribo and Flynn Downs out. Alcaraz scored that goal, but what did you make of the whole sort of like incident with the disallowed goal and then straight out the other end?
I mean, it was something that was kind of observed in the first year of VAR in the Premier League, was that teams that would suffer a VAR disappointment, so they score a goal and the goal gets overturned on review, that within minutes, so many of them would then concede at the other end. And I think you've kind of seen a similar sort of scenario here. Obviously, it's not a video review by any stretch, but the fact that they've had that goal chalked off, having basically offered nothing going forward, it was at that moment the ball hit the back of the net. That was the perfect smash and grab away performance on their part. And then they look over and the linesman's flags up, and as it turns out, incorrectly. It was interesting because from where I was stood in block 40 behind the goal, you looked and you thought, well, I mean, how is he offside there, considering where the cross has come in? It's only when you see on the replay that actually the is it Mamba? Mamba, sorry. Who was their best player against us in the reverse game as well. And where he's actually stood offside just before the cross comes in, and he does that thing of stepping back to get onside at the right time. But I think because ultimately a linesman can't be looking in two different places at once, so he's linesman's had a little view of him being offside, and then he's glancing at his sort of 11 o'clock to see the moment the ball gets put across. So I think in the linesman's mind, he thinks that's the correct decision. So you can kind
You've
of
also
see
got the crosser
why.
cutting back across Ryan Manning as well, so he goes like right up to the byline and cuts back across before the ball comes in. So the actual the line of offside comes back as well. So all those factors playing in the linesman's mind.
Yeah, and obviously there's probably a few players who are kind of not quite in position and still celebrating before they realise that the flag's gone up. And I mean we break quickly, and I mean they literally don't get another touch of the ball before Charlie's bent it into the top corner. It was the first time they'd given us any space around the penalty area. And that's just a concentration thing. They've let their guard down for a split second, and ultimately that is the difference in games like this. Where I mean, if they were playing a Sheffield Wednesday or a Rotherham, they'd have absolutely got away with that. But you're playing against one of the best sides in the league, which I mean, we're actually comfortable saying that now, aren't we? Which is what?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
How fun's that? And yeah. At the end of the day, you expect players of his quality to be able to put the ball where he put it, and he's done exactly that. And great to finally break the deadlock, having threatened a lot in the first half. And I think ultimately, once we got that first one, I think we would then be supremely confident that we would then go and add to that and maybe go on and win by another sizable margin.
Before you round up on the Plymouth talk, I did just want to say that Charlie Alcaraz was obviously named man of the match inside the stadium, but and Charlie's great, obviously, but I felt that was a real injustice to Taylor Howard-Bellis, who had one of the best centre-back performances I've seen in the Championship for a long time. I think he defended the box brilliantly, and obviously it's a simple spotted ball over to Che Adams, but the execution's fantastic. So again, keeping hold of him in the summer, that's the biggest prize for promotion, in my opinion.
Do you think they'll try and do something in the January transfer window to try and make that permanent?
I don't think they'll
Is
be
that a
able to.
possibility?
I don't think they'll be able to. I
No.
imagine that those sort of things with the clauses, they have to be. The loan has to run for a year, and Man City probably aren't going to sanction that because he could be worth quite a bit of money if Saints don't go up.
Yeah, I mean, I think throw a load of money at him, make him captain. I know we've got 7 captains already.
Well, he'll be a future captain, won't he? Without doubt.
What, sorry?
He'll be a future captain, whether it's this club or somewhere else, without doubt.
Yeah. Just on I noticed that the VAR debate in the Championship has been ignited again. I think because this game was live on Sky. Plymouth fans on Twitter are wanting it, but then they've never had it before. Careful what you wish for, lads. Yeah. No one should want it in the Football League. But do you think we, as one of the bigger clubs, do you think we're like the Man United of the Championship? Do you think we get more decisions in our favour as a result? I mean, I counted them up a while ago, and I made it kind of 3 each. Ones that we'd had, ones that we probably would have got with VAR. I mean, to me, 32,000 in St Mary's or 30,000 or whatever, it doesn't feel like the most intimidating place to referee. But does anyone think that we do get more in our favour this year?
I think ultimately the teams that spend more time in the opposition penalty area are on balance going to get more decisions in attacking areas. I think that's kind of natural. The ones where you don't necessarily expect them are the ones like last night where it's in our defensive area. And as a result, it's kind of a little bit more down to a little bit of luck of the draw. But yeah, I think, I mean, the sort of old adage of these things even themselves out over the season, I mean, that's utter nonsense. And then anybody who continues to trot this absolute nonsense out, just get in the bin.
I've been known to.
It is absolute garbage. I mean, you just look back at any of our seasons in the top flight, and you could probably pick out games where we've been completely conned, and yet there are very few where you think, oh Christ, we got lucky with that refereeing decision today, didn't we? But now we're at the top of the league, we're getting those calls go in our favour. So there's definitely something to be said for teams at the right end of the league certainly getting more than their fair share.
Yeah, yeah. Finally, on Plymouth, it's kind of hit the news that Russell Martin made waves by not wanting to meet a certain diminutive Saints fan. As Alfie is 6'4", I have to ask you, Steve, was it you?
Oh, it wasn't me. I'm 5'10". I got a good 3 inches
above the average there.
height on the on our not particularly esteemed Prime Minister.
Okay, fair enough.
It was interesting seeing even Ed Chamberlain there was a photo of him in the back seat. You know that there's that one with Laetitia sat in the background looking particularly unimpressed while Sunak sat there grinning his face off. There's another one from a slightly different angle which has got Ed Chamberlain sat about 6 or 7 rows further back, and he looks equally unimpressed. So I think he's the Prime Minister's getting ganged up on now by all of our other famous fans.
The picture that's got Matt Laetitia in it has got a guy sat behind the Prime Minister.
It's you, isn't it?
Looks very much like me, but it's not.
With your headphones on.
No, I don't wear headphones at games, so it's a generic.
Well, maybe it was Ralph.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, we miss all the Ralph comparisons these days. But Russell Martin's a bit too young for me to make an attempt to look like him.